Mirror. Most people would say, oh, mirror, mirror. You remember that one? The one where they got transposed into an alternate universe and Spock had the goatee. Welcome, come on in, guys. And everybody advanced in rank by killing the guy in front of them. It was a very barbaric, sadistic universe. Well, if you remember that episode, at the very end of that episode, right before, let's call him Evil Spock, right before Evil Spock was going to beam Captain Good Kirk and his landing party back to their Enterprise, Captain Kirk did what he usually does. He took the opportunity to give a speech. Right? And you remember, he basically challenged Spock to make a difference in that universe. He basically said, look, you know it can't go on like this, Spock. This whole empire thing's going to fall apart pretty soon. So why don't you do something about it? Why don't you be an instrument of change? You, Spock. Don't tell anybody I just did that. So, and if you remember, Spock said, Captain Kirk, I shall consider it. And then he pulled the faders, and they beamed away, and the next thing you know, they're back on their Enterprise, right? Well, when I was a kid, I remember thinking, well, wait a minute. What happened to Evil Kirk when he returned to his mirror Enterprise? What did Spock do with that challenge? Did he do anything with it? Or did he just keep going along? So we decided our first episode, in case you haven't seen it, our first episode was a sequel to the second season episode, Who Mourns for Adonais, with the Greek god Apollo. And if you didn't see it, we actually had the original actor, Mike Forrest, who played Apollo 50 years ago, reprise his role as Apollo. It was wonderful. And our second episode was a wonderful original episode about an Orion slave girl that stows away on the Enterprise seeking asylum. She doesn't want to be returned to the slave trade. And guess who comes out to get her but her owner, played by Lou Ferrigno. Now, if you put it together, Orions are green, Lou Ferrigno, Hulk, boom, right? So this is our third episode. And well, that's the fourth one now. Don't get ahead of us now. So I think I've stalled enough time. Yeah, you know what? Let's just start 3 minutes early. What do you say? So are we able to bring the lights down any more than this or not? We can't? Okay. Well, in that case, let's compensate by cranking the volume up, okay? Make them feel like they're in a movie theater, my friend. And let's watch this together, and we'll talk on the other side, all right? Thank you, guys. Okay, let's talk about it. First of all, I want to introduce you. I'm very, very proud to have a couple of our core production team here. This is one of our co-producers, Mr. Kasey Shafsky. Now, if you take this off, you'll recognize him as Spock's Vulcan guard that was with him, who got phased in the hallway. And this is one of our co-producers and the makeup supervisor, Lisa Hansell. Sometime ask her what it's like to give Lou Ferrigno full-body green makeup. It's a story. And down at the end is another one of our core production team, our unit production manager moving forward, Miss Megan. Megan Warner, of course. Say hello, Megan. I started thinking about something else and I blanked out. So, first of all, I have to tell you, did you realize that's the original shuttlecraft in the last scene? That's the real shuttlecraft that they built for the original series. A gentleman named Adam Schneider restored it and donated it to Space Center Houston. And we contacted Space Center Houston and said, hey, what do you think about maybe letting the shuttlecraft be back on the small screen after 40 years? And they loved the idea, so we took a small team down there, put green screen all around the shuttlecraft, and shot that actual scene with the original shuttlecraft. What a thrill. What a thrill for all of us. Now, there's going to be another screening. A lot of people couldn't make it in, so there's another screening at 4 in room 2 next door. So if you just can't get enough, and that would be fine, and go out and grab a couple more people and bring them with you. And another one at 4. Pardon me? Oh, we're screening we're screening a different one. I thought they said the same. We're going to screen episode 2. So come and see Lou Ferrigno in all his green glory. All right? Who has a question about what you just saw? Anybody? Yes.
I was looking at the set. So did you have access to some of the old sets and the props, or did you have to build everything?
Oh, don't I wish. No, this was completely built from scratch. We have an 18,000 square foot facility in South Georgia where we have completely rebuilt the entire soundstage from the original series. The corridor, all of the rooms interconnected. Some of them were built in partnership with another fan production, Starship Farragut, and then we continued building on after that. So it's all there. It's all been recreated as best we could possibly do it. Yes, in the back, young lady. Oh, again, don't I wish. You know what was special about this episode is, our regular episodes are supposed to be a continuation, right? Which means it's a continuation from the 3rd season. And they were wearing they were wearing the spring weave uniforms in the 3rd season. 1st and 2nd, they were wearing the velour. Well, this episode, Mirror Mirror, took place in the 2nd season. So our wardrobe supervisor, Ginger Holly, and her assistant, Hannah, had to completely make all new uniforms for this episode. Like, we couldn't use anything that we had already had in stock because it was all velour. And she custom dyed white velour to match the colors because we just couldn't find the right colors anywhere. So an amazing attention to detail. The Kirk vest, she scoured the planet for that gold stretchy stuff and the epaulets and all of the little pins. Yeah, we have an amazing team of people. Yes. Oh, no, I just meant on the... You're right. Well, small screen as in computer monitor. As in the small screen in your living room or your bedroom or your office space. Yes. Yes, sir.
In light of the CBS lawsuit against the Axonar project, do you fear that may affect your ongoing endeavors for your production?
Well, we hope not. My understanding is that we are in good standing. And I will also tell you that I know for a fact that we are not in violation of many of the things that caused that lawsuit to come down. So we've endeavored to remain above board. I don't know if you know this, but like the main thing that CBS says is you can't make money. You can't make money. You're not allowed to do it. We love that you love Star Trek. We're happy to let you make Star Trek as fans, but you can't make money on our IP, which means you can't take salaries and you can't sell merchandise and you can't do those kind of things. Now, I will tell you this. We hope we're able to continue. If we are not, I would be the first one to get online and thank CBS for the privilege to have done it at all. Because you know what? For better or worse, it belongs to them. I would probably cry crocodile tears through the whole thing, but I would say it because it's the right thing. They own it, and they've allowed us to play in their sandbox. You know, they've allowed dozens of productions out of love for the show to play for years. And our goal is to make 13 episodes. This may answer somebody's question. How long are you going to do this? We want to make 13 episodes. We don't want to just do it until we stop doing it. We want to have an end goal in mind. And the end goal is to complete the 5-year mission. Now, some of you may not realize this, but our resident genius, James Kerwin, figured this out. Michael Okuda actually many of you know his name. He figured out, based on the star dates, that even though the series was canceled in their third television season, they were already well into the fourth year of the 5-year mission, which means that it's completely conceivable that within 13 episodes, we can finish the 5-year mission. And my dream is to leave these characters where the motion picture picked them up, to bridge that gap between the original series and the motion picture. So that's our goal. And this is the third. We have 5 online, all free to watch. The 6th one is done, and it will be premiering in May at MegaCon in Orlando. And right after its premiere, it will go online live for all of you to see. And the 7th episode is done, and it will be premiering in the fall. And we're right now, this is a great segue, we're right now in the middle of an Indiegogo campaign. And we would be honored beyond words if you would help us do this. Just so you understand the dynamics of finances behind this. I personally paid to have the first episode made out of my savings. I paid to have the sets built, and I paid to fly everybody down, to put them in hotels, to buy them food, because I felt like it was wrong for me to ask people to give me money for something I had not proven I could do. So I put my own money where my mouth was, and it was my dream to make Star Trek, so I should pay for it. So we made the first episode, Pilgrim of Eternity, and then when we finished that episode, it served as a proof of concept, if you will. We showed it, and we said, okay, everybody, if you like what you see and you'd like to see more, will you help us? And we asked for a certain amount of money to make 3 more episodes, and guess what, guys? That's exactly what we did. We made 2, 3, and 4, efficiently and in quality. And then we launched another crowdfunding campaign a year later to make 5 and 6 and build engineering, which had never been done. And guess what, guys? That's exactly what we did. We shot 5, we shot 6, which is premiering, and engineering was completed in all its amazing glory. The force perspective core, 2 stories, huge beams, 25 feet over your head. It's breathtaking. And it will be featured prominently in episode 6 and 7. So I say that to say we take your kindness very seriously. We pride ourselves in being good stewards of what people have given us to make these with. And to give you another little financial perspective, the original series episodes back in the 60s, their budget was $115,000 per episode. In the 60s. You know what that is today? It's over $1 million today. And even the Next Generation episodes were $1 million per episode. We are making what you just saw, which many would argue are as good quality-wise as the original series, for $70,000 to $80,000. That's less than 1/10 of what it would cost. So with the small amount that we've been given, we've made 6, 7 full-length episodes, and we want to make 13 and finish the series. Yes, ma'am. I don't know. I'm embarrassed to say I'm not really sure what that would look like, what it would mean, how that would happen. Oh, well, you know what? To be honest with you, I think this incarnation of Star Trek was very much about physical sets, physical models, physical creatures, like guys in suits, you know what I mean? Like they didn't have CGI back then, right? Everything was practical, or the little bit that they could do. And so our goal has been to continue that and recreate it as faithfully as we could. So even though our technology allows us to do a lot of things that they might not have done then, we want it to feel like you're watching the 4th season and the 5th season. So, yes, sir.
What made you choose the original series to continue rather than Next Generation?
Because that's the one that inspired me when I was a little boy. When I was 10 and 11 years old, I I sat in front of a 19-inch black and white television and watched that show. I absorbed it. And you know what? When you're 10 and 11 years old, you don't even know what you can do yet, right? You don't even know what your talents are. You're just hanging out, right? You don't really know what gifts you've been given. But I watched this show, and suddenly I wanted to build things. I wanted to make phasers. And I wanted to build a communicator, and I got my mom to teach me to use a sewing machine so I could make my own uniforms. And I rounded kids in the neighborhood up and made episodes on 8mm movie camera. And I would hang a little model of the Enterprise in front of a black poster board and move the camera past it to make it look, whew. It inspired me to do all of the things that I do now professionally. So what a greater gift, what a greater tribute to give back to the original series than to use all of the skills that we developed over the years to create the thing that inspired those skills in the first place. That's a good point. And the original series was just cut short in its 3rd season. It just didn't have any real closure to it. Yes, sir. Pretty cool, right? Did you recognize Michael Dorn as the voice of the computer? Well, in the Prime universe, Marina Sirtis is the voice of the Enterprise computer. So we thought, well, in the mirror universe, it's a man instead of a woman. So I'll ask Michael. I've done a lot of events with them, and we're good friends. So I went over to Michael's house and sat at his dining room table with a microphone and had him do those lines. Yes. Well, it's something I've always dreamed of doing, and I think probably a lot of people in this room probably dreamed it, imagined it at some point. I heard from a friend that yesterday when Steve Wozniak was on stage with Mr. Shatner, he said something about imagining being the captain of a starship when he was young. So I think it's something that a lot of us have dreamed. And I worked with some other fan productions briefly. And one thing I thought is, man, I would love to get together some real professionals, people that know how to do makeup and costumes and actors, not just fans that want to play Star Trek, but people that have skills in acting and sound and camera, but all share a passion for Star Trek. And so Kasey, I met Kasey through another production. And Matt Busey, our director of photography, and Lisa Hansell, and Ralph Miller, who is our sound guy, and I just wanted to make one episode just to say I did it, And we made Pilgrim of Eternity, and we were so proud of the way it turned out, and people seemed to enjoy it, so we started making more. That's how it happened. Yes. I think you're right. There was a lot of humor in the original series that tended to get lost occasionally in subsequent series. And one thing that I've noticed that a lot of fan productions miss is the humor. And that's a very important part of Star Trek. Yeah, the personality of it and the character relationships. Oh, thank you. Thank you. Well, we'll see you at 4 o'clock next door, and you can see episode 2. You'll love it. Yes. Oh my gosh, Lisa, I feel bad talking so much, but I just get so excited to tell you about what we've done. Lisa's going to tell you the story of how we found Asia DeMarcos, who played Marlena, the captain's woman. Go ahead.
Is this on? Okay. We were actually shopping for Spock's beard. Thank you.
It's you. It's gotta be you.
It's just me? Okay. We were shopping in North Hollywood for Spock's beard, actually, for this episode. Met Vic at this makeup store in North Hollywood. And we walked in, and there was this woman at the register. And he grabbed my arm and said, oh my gosh, look. Do you see it? Is it me? Do you see it? And I looked over, and absolutely, she was the spitting image of Marlena Moreau. We couldn't believe it, absolutely. So he started kind of stalking her a little bit. A little bit of stalking going on, not gonna lie. But he's trying to be cool, he's pretending to look at products and snap a picture. Look at some more products, snap a picture. And so he said, you have to come with me and talk to her so that she doesn't, think I'm weird. It was too late, I'm sure. But he pulled her aside and said, are you an actress? And she said, why, yes, I am. She was actually in Miss Congeniality. She was Miss Hawaii in Miss Congeniality. So we exchanged information and started a conversation, and she was on board. She nailed it, don't you think so? Wasn't she great? Yeah.
We had actually cast somebody already, and I put out a casting call, and we had like 500 submissions, and nobody looked like her. She's such a unique, Barbara Luna, such a unique blend, beautiful, exotic, and you just can't really kind of figure out the perfect combination of so many things. And so we cast somebody who was kind of close as we could come, and then we saw Asia, and she was just absolutely wonderful. Yes, sir.
I just came across your show, and I binge watched it, and I absolutely loved it. I think your Kirk is astounding. It's scary. It's great. That's great. But my second favorite character is probably Dr. McKenna. Where did you come up with this idea to add some of those elements of other Trek, like a holodeck?
I'm glad you asked. Dr. McKenna's the red-haired woman that was in bed with Sulu. That was all she did in this episode, but she features very prominently in the other episodes, and she's a wonderful character. When we were getting the cast together, we started talking about, okay, Michelle is her name, Michelle Specht. She's my fiance, and she's an amazing actress, amazing actor. And we were talking about, okay, what should she do? She has to be in it. I mean, she's a great actor, and she has to be in it. Should she be Nurse Chapel? Or maybe should she be Yeoman Rand? And then I had just done a convention with Marina. And I said, in Next Generation, all the ships had ship's counselors. It was kind of standard. Well, when did they start that? Sometime in the past, right? They didn't have one in TOS, but by the time Next Generation came around, everybody had one. So I thought, hey, why don't we create the first experimental ship's counselor? Like it's a trial program that Starfleet is trying out. And if you see our first episode, she comes in and she's constantly trying to get Kirk's attention, and he's too busy with other things. And she introduces herself, as the first ever. Like she's really excited to try this new program. And she's really been embraced by the fans, which is not easy to do. When you consider, that you're trying to create a character that's on par with iconic characters like Uhura and Chekhov and Sulu, I mean, how can you possibly do that? But Michelle has done an amazing job with the character, and the fans really, really love her. We wanted to do a lot of bridging of that, like the holodeck. Obviously, the holodeck was in full swing in Next Generation, but when did they start that? The animated series had one. You guys know that? You remember that? Yeah. But we thought, okay, let's have one that they're starting to develop, kind of a rudimentary holodeck, and we introduce it in our first episode, and we touch on it again in our fourth episode. But, just slowly moving forward in the direction that they would have gone had they continued. We are out of time, I'm told. Are we out of time? We are. You guys, thank you so much for coming. 4 o'clock at 4 o'clock in room 2. We would love to have you there for the second episode. Check out our Indiegogo campaign. And I'm going to go downstairs and sign for a while, so come by and say hello if you'd like to. Thank you so much.
Thanks so much.